Hello, everyone. It's Mal, and welcome back / welcome to, if you're new, to the Doll Mom podcast. Today, we have such a fun and exciting episode. This is I know I say this for every single one, but every single one I just get so excited for because we have somebody new and somebody amazing and somebody awesome on. So today's episode, we have on from definitely Audrey.
Hi everyone! I'm so excited to be here and be chatting with Mal today.
I'm so excited to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to do this.
I'm so excited. Your account is one of my favorite accounts to follow on all social media. I get so happy and excited whenever you post. And so to have you on the Doll Mom podcast is just such a full circle kind of dream coming true moment.
Oh my god, I'm so happy that you're saying that because I really love just making people happy. I really hope that my content brings joy to people.
Oh, well, it definitely brings joy to me on my end. So in today's episode, we're going to get to know Audrey. How did she get into dolls? How did she get into the doll social media world? And then we're going to be discussing behind the scenes of the toy social media world. We're going to get behind the scenes of Audrey's social media platforms and activities. How does she manage to do it all? Giving advice to viewers and all of this stuff. So I feel without further ado, let's get this episode started. I always feel like we need an intro song when we do the segment, so we're going to be getting to know you. Audrey, how did you get into dolls?
It was actually very random. It's actually how I started my account. So I started collecting Shopkins Real Littles. I don't know if you know that actually, but they create miniature brands. So for example, ketchup but in a mini form, and there's characters inside it. So that's how I got into it. I was really into mini food stuff. And then that's how I found out about American Girl, actually. I realized that American Girl was also creating really cute miniature accessories for dolls. And one of the things that I remember collecting was Courtney's caboodle. I thought it was really cute because I had the bigger version, the real life version of it. And so I started going into that. And then I realized I have a lot of these accessories and furniture, but I don't have any of the dolls. So that's how I actually got into dolls after that.
Oh, I love that. I collected Shopkins for a little bit growing up. I was really into Barbie growing up. And so when Shopkins came out, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can buy these for my Barbie dolls and we can be like twins. And so that's kind of how I got into it.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, Shopkins is super duper fun. And now they have mini brands now, which I think is a different company. So many cool mini stuff. So who was your first American Girl doll?
My first American Girl doll was actually Emily Bennett.
Oh, I love her.
Yes. I think around that time, I've been wanting to get Molly. I really wanted to get Molly and Emily. I didn't want to get them both together because I don't know, I was a student. I was not really working, and American Girl can be quite expensive. I decided to get Emily first because I was looking at, I don't know, Reddit or people talking about American Girl because I wasn't familiar. The worst, people kept saying Emily was a little bit more rare, on the rare side. So that's why I got Emily first, and then I got Molly after.
I love Emily. She's so cute. And I love Molly. Molly was my lookalike growing up because I had the bangs. I always used to wear my hair in braids.
That is so cute.
Yeah, I didn't have glasses and I didn't have gray eyes, but she was my lookalike growing up. So I know on your account you post other dolls besides American Girl brand. So what other doll brands do you collect besides AG?
I actually collect OG, and I also collect Adora dolls.
Ooh, I don't have any Adora dolls. How are they? They look so cute from the stock pictures.
I actually really recommend them. Their body is a mix of plastic, OG. It's also a mixture of soft body, AG. And I think their quality is really good because they stand up properly. Their hair is also very real. It's giving AG vibes.
Ooh.
But I totally recommend it. You should totally get an Adora doll.
I'm going to have to for sure look into it now. Yeah, and I love our generation. Our generation, I just love them. nothing else to say other than so much love for the company and like for the products and like for the brand and like for the dolls and for the accessories. You can never go wrong with our generation.
For sure. I really love OG dolls. I really like how they also promote beauty and like friendship and just like
Yeah.
self-love. I really like the messaging that they're sharing with girls out there.
Yeah, the core values are definitely there and they're definitely promoted and shared throughout all the products and through all the branding. How did you get into the doll social media world?
I actually didn't, when I started, I didn't know that AGIG was a thing actually. So I started posting, making content on TikTok about miniature stuff. So I actually started posting on Instagram on March 2022. That's a few months after I started my TikTok. So I was just reposting some of my miniature videos that I make on TikTok to Instagram. And then I think later on, a couple of like AGIG accounts found me and started following me. So I followed back. And that's how I found out about the doll social media world because I didn't know it was like a community. There was a community out there. I just thought like people were just doing toy stuff, but I didn't know it was there was such a niche community out there.
I remember discovering you on TikTok, and the video that I found of you first was like with the American Girl airplane, and you put the song
Oh,
First Class by like Jack Harlow on it. And I was like obsessed with that song that summer. It was like really weird. I don't know. I'm not really into like the whole like rap music world. I'm like much more into
yeah.
like Taylor Swift and like Megan Maroney and like Kelsey Ballerini, you know, like country queens and like a little bit of pop. But I was just like, man, this song is just so good. And like every time I listened to it, it would make me think of the American Girl airplane. And when I saw that video, I was like,
Oh, yes, I remember that song. I was obsessed with that song too.
it's a good song. Something about
It's a
it.
really good song. Yeah.
What's the reason behind your social media username?
So definitely actually came from my old Tumblr account. So growing up, I really liked, I guess I kind of like blogging on Tumblr. I just like to repost and like post aesthetic photos on my Tumblr account. And then back then, it was really cool to have like a one word username. So I was just like randomly trying out different words I could think of as my username. And I guess definitely wasn't taken.
Oh, I love that. Is Tumblr still around? Like, I feel like that's not talked about anymore. Like, is it still a thing?
I don't know if it's still a thing. I know it's still out there, but I don't know if people are actually using it anymore, which is
Huh.
kind of sad because
Yeah.
it was a fun platform.
Yeah, I remember it used to be like big, you know, like big like
Yeah.
Flickr and like oh like the like Vine or something like the you
Yeah.
know.
Good
Yeah.
days.
I feel like that's going to be one of those platforms that like somebody talks about in like 50 years. I mean like that's like the old MySpace, you know, like all like the old
Yeah.
people, you know? And I'm going to
Yeah.
be like that's the moment I feel old right there.
Yes. Yes. I think people forgot about it right now.
It needs to make a comeback. 2025, 2026, Tumblr. I don't know about you, but I love the behind the scenes stuff, whether it comes to content creating or just like the behind the scenes stuff of like how American Girl designs their dolls or something. But I'm just such a big behind the scenes girly. And I've kind of like figured out a lot of people like the behind the scenes stuff as well. And so this kind of led me to discuss and kind of do a segment over this with the podcast. And Audrey, I felt like you could give us so much advice and like so much like insight into this because you are like a professional content creator.
Oh, thank you.
So we kind of discussed how did you get into the doll social media world. Would you like to like talk about why did you want to get into the doll social media world or why did you create a account on TikTok?
I think for the most part, as an adult, I realized that there's a lot of people out there who are into toys, whether it's like dolls, miniatures, or like anything. But a lot of people are shy about it or like they don't really want to express it because people would judge. And I do get comments like that sometimes. Like people would say, oh, but you're an adult or like toys are for kids, stuff like that. But I realized that if you love something, you should just do it. And that's kind of the reason why I started my doll slash toy social media accounts. I really wanted to show people that it's okay to still collect toys or like play with them even as an adult. That's kind of why my whole, I guess, my branding or like my bio would always say, living my childhood dreams.
I feel like hate comments are the worst. They're so bad sometimes. And like,
Yeah.
I was always taught if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Obviously, there was people on the internet who weren't taught that same lesson or same like wording or whatever. But yeah, I feel like nostalgia with like childhood toys and like all this is like coming back, and like more people are like getting back into like what they loved when they were a kid, or like they're having like children and like wanting to find like the same things that they played with for their kid, you know? So I feel like the nostalgic of just childhood toys in general is just coming back.
Yeah, I think so too. Which is good, which is a good thing, I think. I think maybe a few years ago people were maybe not as accepting when it comes to like collecting toys as an adult. I think it's also because TikTok wasn't a thing, because you know like how TikTok nowadays set up whatever trend is happening in the world. And people will just like follow it even though it's like the weirdest or like the most random thing ever.
I feel like our society has definitely accepted more of the collecting dolls and like, you know, having childhood toys in your home, even though if you don't have any like quote unquote children, like for yourself. I feel like that's more accepting. And plus, you know, your heart doesn't care what other people think. You know, you're going to love what you love. What is your favorite type of content to create?
My favorite type of content to create would be probably my ASMR videos or like setting up videos. If you haven't watched my videos, basically that would look like me setting up, let's say, the American Girl stable. So I would like put it together one by one, but also focusing on the sounds of the setting up. So it's like a mixture of organizing and just satisfying content. It's really satisfying for me to create, and I think people loved it too. It's just really satisfying for the audience to see the person behind the camera building the thing from zero until like it's completed, right?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it also gives like a creator like a life, you know what I mean? Because I feel like on social media, it's so hard to visualize these people as like actual people. Like they feel like the same things that you do and like different things like that. So it kind of gives them like a, I guess, like a human characteristic to them. But also like if I'm like someone who is debating on buying something, I love to like watch videos over it. And so getting to see like the setup part, it's like, okay, yeah, okay, that comes with it too. Okay, that comes with it. Okay. Like it kind of gives me an idea of what I'm getting myself into sometimes.
Actually, you're right. It's like sometimes before I want to buy something, I kind of want to search it up what it looks like before committing to buying. So I guess it's also really helpful to see like setup videos.
How do you balance content creating, posting, everything on the social media world with your daily, regular life?
My life is actually full. It's just like really social media heavy because what I do as a job or like career, I'm also a content creator.
Ooh,
I'm a freelancer, so I create content or like manage social media for different companies. A lot of the things that I do is it's a lot of content creating. And so how I balance it out is I usually work during the day on weekdays. And then if I don't feel too tired, then I will create content for my own accounts at night. I feel like I'm also a little bit more creative at night, and it's a little bit more quiet because everyone's already like asleep. So that's when I can concentrate on creating content. For posting, I think that I used to post a lot. I used to post daily, but nowadays I try to make more time for myself to hang out with my friends, or even like for myself, just like going to the gym, just being healthy. Because I think before I was really focused on my social media accounts, my TikTok or Instagram. And even though I guess I saw it as like also a part of my career, because it's also one of like, I guess my biggest portfolio on what I do, but I was neglecting so much on my health and my social life. So I literally had zero social life when I was just focusing on my work and my TikTok or IG. And so I think starting last year, I made a little bit of change where I kind of want to focus balancing out my personal life, my work life, and also these accounts.
I feel the same thing with like social life. Like I hardly have any friends, and like on the weekends I'm mostly just concerned and just consumed with like just social media stuff, you know? Like so I really like relate to like the social life. Since you are like a full-time kind of like content creator and you're doing all this, do you ever like experience burnout? And if so, like how do you, I guess, navigate through that?
I would say sometimes I do feel burnout for sure because you're just scrolling all the time, keeping up with content or like trends. I feel like I wind down by usually I try to make time for myself like after 6 p.m. I try not to look at like TikTok or Instagram, and I'll just like go to the gym or like call my friends, talk to them so that I don't feel like I'm always quote unquote on the clock.
Is it kind of like hard, like at the beginning to kind of just like step away and be like, okay, when does my work day end a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Because like, I don't know. I feel like 'cause social media is like a 24/7 job, being completely honest. It's like someone's going to DM you and you're going to like reply, or like someone's going to comment, you just have to like heart it or something. But I'm really into like, I'm really passionate about my own accounts and also my work. So whenever people would contact me through my work or like my accounts, I would feel like I would need to be there all the time and like reply. But I realized that you should put yourself first because that's most important.
Okay, so tell me kind of about like the behind the scenes. Are there just days where you're like focused on content creation, where you're creating like those videos that we talked about, ASMR, setup videos? Are there days where you're planning on doing that the next day, or are there's days where you're just putting it all together and like deciding, you know, the captions or like what music, if you're putting anything to it?
When it comes to creating content, I feel like I like to shoot different types of content during the same day. So like, for example, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And sometimes I would edit everything that same day as well. But if for some reason I can't, or like I still have content lined up for that week, then I would like edit it at another time. I think for captions, I don't really think of it. I don't really plan my captions. I just like think of whatever is on top of my head that would make sense with the content I'm posting. It's usually very informal. I think I focus more on the SEO. So like, for example, setting up my American Girl food truck. So it's very searchable. That's how I do it usually. For type of music, I just pick whatever's trending. That means usually whatever's popping on my For You page or even my Instagram charts.
I really like that method. I think it's like a good method. And like I didn't even like think about like the searchableness, because for searchableness, like that's like a new way that you're like gaining new people to like connect with. You know what I mean? Like that's how you're kind of growing.
Yes, totally recommend for everyone who is posting on social media.
What do you hope to achieve with your social media platforms? It's a hard question because
it is a hard question. It's a deep question.
Yeah, we're going there.
What I hope to achieve from my social media platforms, firstly, I hope that if there's people out there who's been wanting to collect something, especially toys or dolls, I hope that my account would inspire you and make you feel like it's okay to be collecting, especially as an adult, no matter what people say, because you do what you love and don't let other people stop you.
That's so inspiring. I feel like your account definitely gives off that vibe. And it's definitely like inspired me to do different things as well. So I feel like you're definitely hitting that. So besides content creating, I think one thing that I really want to highlight and discuss is that you have gotten to work with some amazing doll brands out there. Our Generation, Glitter Girls. You attended Toys Insider Sweet Suit last, or is it? I think it's called that. Last summer, which I thought was so amazing and so neat. So tell me about like kind of working with all these brands and kind of like maybe like the behind the scenes stuff of people who are maybe like just starting to get into content creating or maybe just want to work with brands someday. I guess kind of give us a little bit more insight on that.
My advice is that post consistently, and like maybe even try reaching out to these brands. Sometimes you won't hear back, but like don't give up. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Tag them and like your posts. Maybe one day they'll see it. Things will just work out one
Yeah.
day.
Everything happens for a reason. Even if they like say no, they come back and say no, just know it's, everything happens for a reason. Maybe you're not really ready for that collaboration or to
totally
work with
agree.
them yet. Like maybe there's stuff that you still need to learn or you still need to like grow. You know what I mean? Like take it as like a growth opportunity and like take it as like a way of like bettering your content or getting better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. And I don't think I could say it better than that. I love it.
What tips do you have for listeners who want to join the doll/toy social media community?
I would say just do it, because the more practice you get, the better you're going to be at content creating. So I wouldn't worry about what people think about your content. Just do it as a way to express yourself and build community. I feel like people would be really happy just to see you being a part of that group on social media.
Yeah, that's so inspiring and that's so powerful. Like, oh my goodness. And plus, like, everybody starts out somewhere. Like,
yeah,
I feel like that's not talked about. Like, everybody starts somewhere and, like, everybody's going to be bad at something, Like, everybody's not going to be, like, the perfect person that they are in, like, 5 years or something, or have, like, their account all put together right at the beginning. Like, no, you go and you figure it out as you go, and it's growthing opportunity, and you're just figuring out what you like to do. You're figuring out, what your audience likes and different things like that. Everybody starts out from somewhere. And plus, like, the communities, from my experience, have been so nice and so welcoming.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I think sometimes it's just like us overthinking about what people are thinking, but in reality, they're not thinking about it. It's just yourself.
Yeah. No, that's such a good, connection. I know that's not the right word to use, but like that's a good point to make. What tips or what would you tell the listeners who kind of like struggle with someone being really, I guess, negative towards their doll collection, or kind of like not really sure about doll collecting or anything like that?
I would say that when it comes to friendships and relationships, if people can't really accept who you really are, especially if doll collecting is a big part of like yourself, especially if you do it as a hobby, I just feel like they're probably not the right person, because I feel that someone should be able to accept you for who you are, like 100%.
Yes, I agree. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people, I kind of guess, like, get scared of bringing it up to, like, others, like, when you're, like, becoming friends with someone or, like, entering a relationship with someone, like, you definitely have some nervousness and anxiety around that, telling them, oh, yeah, here's my dolls, but at the same time, like, they're not the one for you if they don't love you full-heartedly. You know what I mean?
For sure, because actually, like, with my friends, whenever I tell them, by the way, I have dolls, I collect dolls, they're not going to be like, oh, that's kind of weird. They're just going to be like, oh, I'm so happy for you. Like, I love that you have something that you're passionate about. I do have people that were like, kind of like, oh, what? That's so creepy. That's so weird. But that's when I know when to, like, I guess, cut them off.
I found like most people are really supportive, and I think it's super duper cool that you're doing something that's kind of like a unique hobby, but also like a very passionate one at the same time. And there's definitely been negative experiences, but I feel like the positives definitely outweigh the negatives.
I agree, 100%.
And that goes with anything too.
Yes.
We have reached the end of this episode, everyone, and, your girl's almost in tears because I've had so much fun talking to Audrey. Thank you so much for coming on the Doll Mom podcast. Oh my goodness, it was so much fun having you on today and, like, getting to talk to you, and I felt like this was kind of like a little, like, girly chat, like, kind of like a sleepover thing. Like, we had laughs, we had giggles. It was just so much fun, and I just feel like we're kind of, like, friends now, and it was just... It was just a lot of fun having you on, and I hope you enjoyed coming on just as much as I enjoyed talking to you and having you on today.
It was really nice talking to you, too. I really enjoyed this episode today.
Oh, you're welcome to come back anytime you want.
Oh, I'm down. Invite me and I'll come.
If you are not following Audrey already, what are you seriously doing with your life? Because you definitely need to be following her. She's at definitely on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and on Facebook. So be sure that you go check her out. Give her all the love in the world because she deserves it. And her content is just so good. It's chef's kiss. I totally love it. And I think you will definitely love it as well. My name's Mal. I'm at Dollies and Rainbows. We're on every single thing on the internet you could possibly find me. But the Doll Mom podcast is super, super cool. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Threads. We're getting fancy. So definitely go check us out and give us some love, give us some follow on there at Doll Mom Podcast. And I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say in this podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And I really hope you enjoyed it just as much as I do. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening, guys.